This is Max and Mia podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Max and Mia podcast.
Hi there. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Yeah, seriously. Whether you're listening on your morning commute, at the gym, or just chilling at home, we really appreciate you tuning in.
Absolutely. And hey, if you're enjoying what we do here, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It honestly makes a huge difference for us.
It really does. Plus, you'll never miss an episode that way. We've got some great stuff lined up.
So true. And you know what? We'd love to hear from you too. Drop a comment and let us know where you're listening from or what topics you'd like us to cover.
Perfect. All right then, shall we jump into today's topic?
Let's do it. So today we're diving into the workplace. Everything about work, jobs, office life.
Yeah, and trust me, by the end of this episode, you're going to learn tons of useful stuff.
For sure. But before we start, let me ask you something. Do you think you could ask for a raise in English?
Ooh, good one. Or what about giving feedback to a colleague? Would you know how to do that?
Exactly. And here's another one. Helping a coworker who's struggling with something. Could you handle that situation confidently?
Right? These are real-life scenarios that happen all the time at work.
So if you're thinking, maybe not, don't worry. That's exactly why we're here today.
All right, let's get started with something super important.
Okay. I need everyone listening to do something for me right now. Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. It's your very first day at a new job.
You walk into the office. There are new faces everywhere, and someone says, "Hey, why don't you introduce yourself to the team?"
So here's the question. Would you know what to say? How would you introduce yourself professionally?
It's trickier than it sounds, right?
Totally. So let me give you a solid way to do this. You want to keep it friendly, but professional.
Exactly. Start with your name, obviously, then mention your role or what you'll be doing.
Right. So something like, "Hi, everyone. I'm Mia. I'm the new graphic designer, and I'll be working mainly with the marketing team."
Perfect. And then you can add something personal but work-related. Like, "I'm really excited to be here. I've been working in design for about 5 years, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with all of you."
See? Not too long, not too short. Just enough to break the ice.
And here's a pro tip: smile. Even if you're nervous, a smile makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Now, once you've introduced yourself, what's next?
Well, in those first few days, you need to get up to speed with everything.
Get up to speed. That means to catch up, to learn what's happening and what you need to do.
Exactly. And to do that, there are some key words you absolutely need to know. Let's go through them.
First one, agenda. This is basically your schedule or the list of topics for a meeting.
Right. So your manager might say, "Check the agenda before our meeting tomorrow."
Next up, follow up. This is when you check back on something or continue a conversation.
Like, "I need to follow up with the client about that proposal." It means you're going to contact them again.
Good one. Number 3, inbox. This is where all your emails arrive.
Yeah, and trust me, on your first week, your inbox is gonna be full.
So true. All right, next, to-do list. This is pretty straightforward. It's the list of tasks you need to complete.
Some people write it on paper, some use apps, but either way, it keeps you organized.
And finally, priorities. These are the most important tasks, the ones you should focus on first.
Your boss might ask, "What are your priorities this week?" And you should know which tasks matter most.
Exactly. So those 5 terms: agenda, follow-up, inbox, to-do list, and priorities. Write them down.
Yeah, seriously, you'll hear these every single day at work.
Okay, so now let's hear how this actually sounds in a real situation.
Right. So imagine this. Someone is leaving their job, maybe they're retiring or moving to a different company.
And it's pretty common for that person to give the new employee a handover. That means they show them the ropes, explain how things work.
Exactly. It helps the new person settle in much faster. So, let's listen to what that might sound like.
Here's a conversation between Julia, who's been at the company for 8 years and is about to retire, and Daniel, who's taking over her position. Let's listen.
Daniel, welcome. Oh, come on in. Have a seat.
Thanks so much, Julia. I really appreciate you taking the time to show me around.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've been here for 8 years, so there's quite a bit to cover. But don't worry, we'll take it step by step. How are you feeling about everything?
Honestly, a bit nervous, but mostly excited. This is exactly the kind of role I've been hoping for.
That's great to hear. The team is fantastic. You're going to love working with them. So let me start by giving you an overview of what your typical week will look like. Mondays are usually pretty busy because we have our team meeting at 9, and that's where we go over the priorities for the week.
Got it. And do we follow a specific agenda for those meetings?
Yes. The manager sends it out every Friday afternoon, so you'll have the weekend to prepare if you need to. I'd recommend checking your inbox Sunday evening just to stay ahead of things.
That makes sense. I'll definitely do that.
Perfect. Now, after the Monday meeting, you'll usually spend the rest of the day following up with clients. We handle about 15 accounts, and each one needs regular check-ins, at least once a week.
15 accounts? Wow, okay. How do you keep track of all that?
I know it sounds like a lot, but you'll get into a rhythm. I personally use a to-do list on my computer, and I color code everything by priority. Red for urgent, yellow for important but not urgent, and green for things I can do when I have extra time.
Oh, that's smart. I like that system.
It works really well. And speaking of priorities, Thursdays are always report day. You'll need to submit a weekly report to management summarizing your progress with each account. It doesn't have to be long, just clear and to the point.
Okay, noted. And what about the team? Are there specific people I should connect with right away?
Absolutely. You'll want to introduce yourself to Karen in finance. She handles all the budget approvals. Then there's Tom. He's in IT. Super helpful if you ever have tech issues. And of course, Lisa is your direct supervisor. She's wonderful. Very approachable.
All right. I'll make sure to reach out to them this week. What about the day-to-day stuff? Like, how flexible are the hours?
Pretty flexible, actually. As long as you're here for the core hours, which are 10 to 3, you can adjust your schedule. Some people come in early and leave early. Others prefer to start later. It's really up to you.
That's perfect. I'm more of a morning person, so I'll probably get here around 8.
Good choice. It's quieter in the mornings, easier to focus. Oh, and one more thing, lunch breaks. Most people take an hour around noon, but if you need to step out for appointments or anything, just let Lisa know in advance.
Sounds reasonable. Is there anything else I should be aware of? Any unwritten rules or things like that?
Let me think. Oh, yes. Definitely keep your inbox organized. I learned that the hard way. If you let emails pile up, you'll spend half your day just trying to find things. I'd suggest creating folders for each client.
Good tip. I'll set that up today.
And honestly, don't hesitate to ask questions. Everyone here remembers what it's like to be new, so people are happy to help. You're going to do great, Daniel.
Thanks, Julia. I really mean it. This has been incredibly helpful.
Anytime. Now, let me show you where everything is in the office, and then we can grab some coffee. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
All right, that was a great example of how a handover works. But now, let's talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. Feedback, right?
Exactly. Giving and receiving feedback. It's one of those things that's super important at work, but not everyone knows how to do it well.
And here's another one that goes hand in hand with it. Apologizing. Like when you mess up or you're late to a meeting.
Right. So let me ask you, the listeners, something. If you made a mistake at work, how would you apologize in English? What would you actually say?
And what if you need to give feedback to a coworker? Maybe they keep missing deadlines or their work isn't quite right. How would you bring that up without sounding rude?
These are tricky situations, so let's break them down.
Okay, let's start with apologizing. A lot of people just say sorry and leave it at that. But at work, you want to be more specific.
Exactly. You need to acknowledge what went wrong and show that you're taking responsibility. So instead of just saying, "Sorry, I'm late," try something like, "I apologize for being late. There was an issue with the subway, but I should have left earlier to account for delays."
See the difference? You're not making excuses. You're explaining what happened and taking ownership.
Right. And then here's the key part. Offer a solution. You could add, "It won't happen again. I'll plan to leave 20 minutes earlier from now on."
Perfect! Because that shows you're not just sorry, you're actually going to fix the problem.
Exactly. Now, what about when you make a mistake on a project or forget to do something important?
Same idea. Be direct and honest. You could say, "I made an error in the report. I missed some data in the third section. I'm working on correcting it right now, and I'll have the updated version to you by end of day."
Notice how that sounds. You're clear about what happened, you're fixing it, and you're giving a timeline.
And people appreciate that. It's way better than being vague or defensive.
For sure. Now let's talk about giving feedback, because this is where people really struggle.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to be the bad guy, right?
True. But here's the thing. Feedback doesn't have to be negative. It's about helping someone improve. So the tone matters a lot.
Absolutely. Let's say someone on your team keeps interrupting others during meetings. You can't just ignore it, but you also don't want to embarrass them.
Right? So you might pull them aside privately and say something like, "Hey, I wanted to share something with you. I've noticed that during meetings, you tend to jump in while others are speaking. I know you're enthusiastic about the projects, but it might help to wait until they finish their point."
That's really good. You're pointing out the issue, but you're also being respectful.
Exactly. And you can follow that up with a suggestion. Maybe we could use the chat function to jot down ideas while someone else is talking.
See? You're offering a solution, not just criticizing.
Right. And here's another tip. Use I statements instead of you statements. It sounds less accusatory.
What do you mean?
So instead of saying, "You always submit your work late," you could say, "I've noticed the last few deadlines have been missed and it's affecting the team's schedule. Is there something we can do to help you stay on track?"
Oh, I see. It's less confrontational.
Exactly. You're opening a conversation instead of just blaming someone.
That makes sense. And what about receiving feedback? That can be tough too.
Oh, absolutely. The key there is to not get defensive. Even if the feedback stings a little, try to listen and ask clarifying questions.
Yeah, like, can you give me an example of when this happened, or what would you suggest I do differently?
Great. That shows you're willing to improve, not just argue.
All right, before we move on, let's give you some useful vocabulary for these situations.
Great idea. First one, suggestion. That's when you offer an idea for improvement. I have a suggestion for how we could streamline this process.
Next, proposal. This is similar, but it's usually more formal. I'd like to make a proposal about the new marketing campaign.
Then we have mistake and error. These are basically the same thing. I made a mistake in the calculations, or there was an error in the document.
Here's an important one. Frustrated. This describes how you feel when things aren't going well. I'm a bit frustrated with how the project is progressing.
And finally, I'll look into it. This is super useful when someone brings up a problem and you need time to investigate. Thanks for letting me know. I'll look into it and get back to you.
These phrases are gold. You'll sound so much more professional.
Absolutely. So remember, apologize clearly, give feedback respectfully, and use these key phrases to navigate tricky situations.
Now, let's hear what this actually sounds like in practice.
Yeah, we're going to listen to a conversation between two colleagues. Rachel is a team leader, and she needs to give some feedback to her coworker, Ben.
And pay attention to how Rachel approaches this. She's direct but respectful, and Ben handles it really well too.
Exactly. This is a great example of professional communication. Let's listen.
Hey, Ben, do you have a few minutes? I wanted to chat with you about something.
Sure. Rachel, is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. I just wanted to give you some feedback on the presentation you did last week. Do you have time now, or would later be better?
Now works for me. I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts.
Great. So first off, I want to say that your content was really solid. You clearly did your research, and the data you included was exactly what the client needed.
Thanks. I spent quite a bit of time on that part.
It shows. But I did notice something that I think could help make your presentations even stronger. During the meeting, you seemed a bit uncertain when answering questions. There were a few moments where you said, "I'm not sure," or "maybe," even though I know you actually had the information.
Oh, really? I didn't realize I was doing that.
Yeah, and I think it might have affected how confident you came across to the client. When we project uncertainty, sometimes clients start to doubt the information, even if it's accurate.
That makes sense. I guess I was nervous because it was such an important client.
Totally understandable. We all get nervous. But here's my suggestion. Instead of saying, "I'm not sure," you could say something like, "That's a great question. Let me pull up that specific data for you," or "I'll look into it and follow up with you this afternoon."
Oh, I see what you mean. That sounds way more professional.
Exactly. It shows you're taking their questions seriously without undermining your expertise. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Can you give me an example of when I did that? I want to make sure I understand.
Sure. When the client asked about the timeline for implementation, you said, "I'm not sure, maybe 6 weeks?" But we had discussed that timeline in our prep meeting, and you knew it was 6 to 8 weeks.
You're right. I remember now. I knew the answer, but I second-guessed myself in the moment.
Exactly. And that's completely normal, especially under pressure. The key is to trust what you know and deliver it with confidence.
That's really helpful, Rachel. I appreciate you pointing that out. What would you suggest I do to work on this?
Well, one thing that helped me was practicing responses to common questions before meetings, like actually rehearsing out loud. It sounds silly, but it builds your confidence.
That's a good idea. I usually just review the materials in my head, but maybe speaking it out would help more.
It really does. And another thing, if you genuinely don't know something, that's okay. Just own it confidently. Say something like, I don't have those figures in front of me right now, but I'll get that information to you by tomorrow morning.
Right, so it's about being direct and giving a clear next step.
Exactly. You're still being professional. You're just managing expectations clearly.
This is great feedback. I'm actually glad you brought this up because I was feeling a bit frustrated with how that meeting went, but I couldn't put my finger on why.
I'm glad it's helpful. And honestly, Ben, you're doing really well overall. This is just one small thing to polish. Your technical knowledge is excellent, and clients like working with you.
Thanks, Rachel. I mean it. I know giving feedback isn't always easy, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, that's what we're here for, to help each other grow. If you want, we could do a quick practice session before your next big presentation. I could ask you some tough questions, and we could work on those responses together.
That would be amazing. Yeah, let's definitely do that.
Perfect. I'll send you a meeting invite for later this week. Sound good?
Sounds great. Thanks again, Rachel.
Anytime, Ben.
All right, that was a perfect example of how to handle feedback. Now, let's move on to our final topic today.
This is a big one. Talking to your boss or supervisor. Specifically about presenting results, discussing your workload, and negotiating things like salary or benefits.
Yeah, these conversations can feel intimidating, but they're so important for your career growth.
Absolutely. So let's break it down. First up, presenting results to your boss.
Right. So the key here is to be clear and organized. Your boss is busy, so they don't want a long, rambling explanation.
Exactly. Start with the bottom line. What did you achieve? Then back it up with data or examples.
So instead of saying, I worked really hard on the marketing campaign, try something like, the marketing campaign increased our engagement by 35%. We gained 2,000 new followers and saw a 20% boost in sales.
Great. See how that's specific? You're showing impact, not just effort.
And if something didn't go as planned, don't hide it. Be honest, but focus on what you learned and what you'll do differently next time.
Great point. Bosses respect transparency. Now let's talk about workload.
Oh, this is a tough one for a lot of people. Nobody wants to complain, but if you're genuinely overwhelmed, you need to speak up.
Exactly. The trick is to frame it as a conversation, not a complaint. Don't just say, I have too much work.
Right. Instead, try. I wanted to discuss my current projects with you. I'm managing 5 major accounts right now, and I want to make sure I'm delivering quality work on all of them. Could we prioritize which ones need my immediate attention?
That's so much better. You're showing that you care about doing good work, and you're asking for guidance.
Exactly. You're being proactive, not just dumping a problem on your boss.
Perfect. And now, the big one, negotiating. This could be salary, benefits, remote work options, whatever.
Yeah, and a lot of people avoid this because they're scared of hearing no.
I get that. But here's the thing. If you don't ask, the answer is automatically no. So, you might as well try.
True, but you need to prepare. Do your research. Know what the market rate is for your position or what benefits other companies offer.
Exactly. And when you bring it up, be confident, but reasonable. You could say something like, I've been with the company for 2 years now, and I've taken on additional responsibilities. Based on my research and my contributions, I'd like to discuss adjusting my salary.
That's strong. You're showing your value and backing it up with facts.
Right. And be ready for a counteroffer. Your boss might not give you exactly what you ask for, but they might meet you halfway.
Which brings us to some key vocabulary for these situations. Let's go through them.
First, terms. These are the conditions or details of an agreement. I'd like to discuss the terms of my contract.
Next, proposal. This is your formal suggestion or offer. I have a proposal regarding the project timeline.
Then there's counteroffer. This is when someone responds to your offer with a different one. They made me a counteroffer of a 5% raise instead of 10.
Good one. And here's discount. This usually applies to pricing or deals. Can we negotiate a discount on the bulk order?
And finally, contract. This is the official written agreement. I'd like to review my contract before renewing it.
These words are essential for any negotiation or formal discussion.
Absolutely. Now let's hear what a real negotiation sounds like.
Yeah. We've got a conversation between an employee, Sarah, and her manager, Mr. Thompson. Sarah is asking for a raise and some additional benefits.
Pay attention to how she presents her case and how they work through the negotiation. Here we go.
Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I know you're busy.
Of course, Sarah. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about my role here and my compensation. I've been with the company for almost 3 years now, and I feel like my responsibilities have grown quite a bit since I started.
I'd say that's accurate. You've definitely taken on more. What specifically are you thinking?
I'd like to discuss the possibility of a salary increase. When I started, I was mainly handling administrative tasks, but now I'm managing client relationships, leading team meetings, and overseeing the quarterly reports.
You're right. You have stepped up. What kind of increase are you looking for?
Based on the market research I've done for similar positions in our industry, I think a 15% increase would be fair. That would bring my salary to $69,000 annually.
I see. That's a significant jump. Let me be honest with you, Sarah. I think you absolutely deserve a raise, but 15% might be tough to get approved right now, given our budget constraints this quarter.
I understand that budgets can be tight. Is there a number that would work better for you?
I could realistically get you 10% approved without too much pushback. That would put you at $66,000.
I appreciate that counteroffer. Would there be room to discuss other benefits if we can't quite reach 15% on the salary?
What kind of benefits are you thinking about?
Well, I've been commuting an hour each way every day. Would it be possible to work from home 2 days a week? That would make a big difference for me.
I think that's doable. We've been moving toward more flexible arrangements anyway. So if we did the 10% raise plus 2 remote days per week, would that work for you?
That's definitely closer to what I was hoping for. One more thing, though. I noticed that some team members have access to professional development courses. Would it be possible to include that in my contract?
You mean the online training programs?
Yes, exactly. I'd love to take some courses on leadership and project management to continue growing in my role.
I don't see why not. We encourage that kind of development. I'll add that to the terms of your updated contract.
That sounds great. So just to confirm, 10% salary increase, 2 remote work days per week, and access to professional development courses.
That's correct. I'll draft up the proposal and have it ready for you by the end of the week. You can review it, and if everything looks good, we'll make it official.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. I really appreciate you working with me on this.
Absolutely, Sarah. You've earned it. Keep up the excellent work.
I will. Thanks again.
Wow, that was such a solid negotiation.
Right? Sarah really knew how to present her case and work with her boss to find a solution that worked for both of them.
Exactly. And that's what these conversations are all about. It's not confrontational, it's collaborative.
Well, that wraps up today's episode. We covered a lot, didn't we?
We really did. From introducing yourself on your first day, to giving feedback, to negotiating with your boss. These are all essential skills for the workplace.
And we hope you picked up some useful phrases and vocabulary that you can actually use in real situations.
If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you being here with us.
Absolutely. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us out so much.
For sure. And remember, learning English is a journey. Every conversation you have, every podcast you listen to, you're getting better.
Exactly. So stay curious, stay motivated, and don't be afraid to use what you've learned today.
We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, take care.
See you next time.